Hi guys, welcome back to B's Speed Shop. In today's video I'm going to be welding in my new sill. So the first job I've got to do today is along this bottom edge. I'm going to punch a series of holes probably about an inch apart. So that'll be for the spot weld along the bottom, and then I'll do the same along this flange edge where it welds to the door jamb and the rear section. So I can punch those holes out for the spot weld. And then where these floor to sill reinforcement brackets are, I need to do several holes for them so I can weld it to them, because on this one here, this is the edge where they're spot welded to, so I can do a series of holes so I can spot weld it to those faces. And then I've got the cross member extension and jacking point, so I think there's one literally just here and the other one's about here somewhere. And then I've got the rear floor to sill bracket as well. So there should be one here somewhere and then one just on this edge. So I can do a series of holes, do about 3 or 4, so I can spot weld them together. And obviously I've got a hole there to spot weld it to, and then on that edge there I drilled 2 more holes so I can spot weld that, and then I'll just seam weld this edge back together. So I'll quickly mark out where I need to do these holes, and then I can take it off, drill them, and then I'll just use the hole punch for doing the holes along this edge. So I've measured out and marked out where I need to drill the holes for the floor to sill reinforcement brackets, and I've done the centre one as well. So the centre one I'm going to drill 4 holes either side. The front one there's 3 either side, and then the back one I don't know if you can really see, but I've done 2 marks. That's how it was on the factory one, so I'm going to try and do it the same. So I'll quickly get those centre punched and then I can drill them. So I've got all my holes drilled now. They still need a little deburr either side, and then what I'll do is once I deburr them I can spray a bit of the weldable primer just in this area where I need to weld. But what I'll do now is I'll go test fit it on the car and make sure the holes line up. So I'm just roughly holding it in place at the moment, and you can see that pretty much all those holes, they all line up for that front one. Cross member support might need a bit of work. I might have to do an extra one a little bit higher up, because I don't know if you can see the bottom one. That's where the that bend is in the floor, so I might have to do an extra one at the top, just so that there's 4 spot welds along that edge. I'm not sure what I'm going to do here just yet. Obviously this will be welded to the jacking point as well. I'll have to sort of weld up that gap around there, so it might be alright with just those 3 on that front one. And then if we move to the back, you see all 4 of them, they all pretty much line up, so I'm quite happy with that. So I'll give it all a quick deburr and then put some weldable primer on it, And then obviously the other thing I've got to do is punch the holes along this lower edge and then along this flange as well. So once I get them punched, then it'll be pretty much ready to weld in. So I've deburred all the holes I've drilled, and I've just given it a coat of oil primer. I ground off this black paint. So now what I'm doing is I've got the hole punch, so I've just set that so the depth is in the right place. So now what I can do is I can just go all the way along this edge, just do them about an inch apart all the way along, and I can do the same on this edge. I've also got to do this little flange here, got to put a couple holes in so they'll get spot welded to this face here, and then I can trim this bit back once it's all welded in. So what I'll do is I'll do the spot weld, I'll punch all the holes all the way along, and then I'll test fit it one more time just to make sure I'm happy, then I can start to weld it in. So I've punched all the holes along this lower edge. I'm quite happy with the position. I mean, you can see there one of the original holes that I drilled, and they pretty much line up, so I'm pretty happy with that. I mean, I've done it all the way along, all the way from the back to front. So obviously I've got to do the holes along this flange edge, but I'll only be able to weld from about here back because that's where the door jamb joins in. So I need to sort of figure out where I'm going to cut this and replace the new section, because this back part seems okay. It's mainly along this front edge where it needs replacing. So I've got my sill all clamped into position now where I'm going to weld it. I had to use a bolt on this end just to pull this in a bit tighter. There's still a little bit of a gap, but I can weld it and it should be fine. I'll start with doing these two, and then I'll just sort of work my way around and then do all these lower ones. What I can do, obviously because I can't get a clamp on just here, because obviously the panel's here, what I'll do is I'll just use the handle of my hammer and push it in while I weld up these. What I might be able to do is, if I can find another bolt, I can put it in there just to make sure these are pulled tight as well. But this is where it's going to be, so I'm going to weld it in while it's in position. So I'll get the welder set up, and once that's set up I'll probably do like a little time lapse or something. So I'll get that sorted now. So I've got my sill mostly welded on now. So obviously where these support pieces are, it's all welded onto them. I've done all the way along this bottom edge as well. And I did this section along here. Obviously the door jamb starts here, so that bit will get cut out and replaced, and then I can do the spot welds along this edge. But I mean, all looks really good. Did the spot welds on these bits, and I just filled in this corner, and I can grind that back just to make it look nice. But I'm pretty happy with how it's all gone today. I mean, all the welds have gone really good. What I did, because there was a little bit of a gap here which I wasn't quite happy with, so where the edge of the flange is for the cross member support and jacking point, there was a little bit of a gap, so these spot welds didn't fully like grab onto it and weld in. So what I've done is I've just laid a bead down in there, so that's all solid now. Obviously one thing else I've got to do, I'm going to drill a couple holes and just do a couple spot welds on there, and I'll put a little weld down that edge, and then I can cut this piece off. And what I might try and do is just in here, is just weld in that corner so it's nice and tight, so it's all welded up. I'll probably try and put a bit of weld in there as well. But other than that, it's all gone really well today. Obviously I still got my door jamb left to do, so I think next weekend I might try and do the door jamb. Obviously I've got to take this panel off so I can get in here and cut where I need to cut for the door jamb. So I'm going to be leaving this video here for now. I think my aim for next weekend is to do the door jamb. But I'm really happy with how my welding's gone today. All the spot welds came out really good, and they penetrated both pieces of metal. So I'm really happy with that. So thanks for watching this video.